Welcome back to Better Than a Pill. I'm super grateful that you guys are all here with me today. And before we get started, I do want to thank God for making this podcast possible. And it was born out of the idea that we need to be proactive about our health and wellness, and specifically holistic solutions, and alongside with what mainstream medicine has to offer. So today I wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about how we keep our hips healthy and optimal, and so that we can move in the best way possible. And a lot of times we're struggling with different things. Sometimes it's just general stiffness, or it could be bursitis, inflammation. It could be pre-post hip replacement. So many things can be involved with the hips. But one thing's for sure, we need to be doing several things. The first thing that we need to be doing, one of our important pillars, is stretching. And there are 4 key areas that we need to be specifically focusing in on, checking, of course, assessing range of motion. Some of these things may or may not be possible. If you've had surgery, you may need to limit range or exclude certain things. But in general, we need to check with our piriformis. We need to be checking with our psoas, our hip flexor area, our IT band, and the outer hip and TFL muscles. We need to target those 4 areas with specific stretches. Now, if we were to look at just in general some guidelines with our stretching, you can stretch anytime. Most of us are not stretching enough, and that definitely pertains to our hips. The piriformis gets tight after age 40. I know myself, I have to always be checking in with those muscles because they tighten. So when can you stretch? Anytime. It can be after physical activity if you like that, before bed, anytime in your day, using it for stress management. Mix it up. Do what works best for your body. Also, know that there is no black or white with rules for stretching. In my experience over time, it can be very subjective. When we're really tight, we can hold a stretch up to 2 minutes with our hips, or we might need to break it down into smaller segments, like 20 to 30 seconds. Most importantly, we want to feel improvement. So I always recommend, you may have heard me say this before, doing your stretch, coming out of it, then going back into it to make sure there's been improvement. It's important to check in with all of the areas that I mentioned because there's always going to be change. So making sure that our body may feel one way one day, but after certain movements or non-movement, that can change. So listen to your body. All those things apply. But definitely want to make sure that you're seeking improvement, and that is going to be different. It can be different based on the size of your body. In addition to stretching, I always recommend for our hips, specifically to fascia release, primarily in 3 areas. The piriformis, definitely, we want to be releasing fascia around there that can get tight, checking in with that all the time. That's just extremely helpful to do 1 to 2 times a month. You can gauge this depending on your need and specific area and how your body's doing, how your hips are doing. Outer hip and glutes, definitely want to be doing fascia work there. And then along your IT band, that area, that sheath, that band that goes from the knee to the hip, all the way up that area, I definitely recommend. Now, I definitely use different tools myself, certain types of balls that really work the best. You can use a foam roller for the IT band. That's the one thing that I would say there. Or and also a cross-sectional hip release I like to do right at the top of that IT band. Or get manual work, whatever works best. But definitely we want to be checking in with the fascia. And when it comes to the fascia, uh, there is no, again, strict rule. It's very similar to doing it when you can with the stretching. So typically I find the more we do this, the better. And it feels good. That's one of the things that's really nice about doing our fascia work, is that it feels good. I myself can use it as a tool for stress relief. So definitely needing to integrate that in as a part of keeping our hips healthy. We need to keep our hips, our range of motion. Here's the other thing around the hips. We need to keep that, the length, the joints mobile, lengthening. All of those things are important. And really, we need to be taking that from the therapeutic part of Pilates, which I like to incorporate. I would say the key things that you want to take away from there for hip health would be a knee or leg circle, and some of the side lying series work are really good for maintaining the hip joint in particular. And for that, you can do that. There's no right or wrong, at least one time a week, getting those movements in the hip is going to really be helpful with maintaining the joints. So we have several things so far. It's not just one thing. We want to try to be getting all of these things in. A couple more things to take away when it comes to our hips. We want to keep our hips strong, and we need to be doing targeted strength work for the hips. And that means the outer, the inner, internal hip rotators, all of those things. Me personally, I love to use ankle weights, doing sideline work. It's on a mat, very simple, effective. We want to work the gluteus medius. We could do resistance bands, add that into a clam, eventually working up, getting stronger there. And then keeping the glutes strong, those muscles, so that you don't have to overwork the hips. We want to balance there. And that's going to help reduce injury and everything. It's the whole thing. We need to have that balance. If we're super strong and we're not working on mobility or adhesions or things like that, we're going to have problems, right? We're going to get injury. So all of those things combined. When it comes to the strengthening of the hips, it's just like anything else. You want to make sure that you're not doing it on consecutive days. Give yourself a break. 2 times a week minimum. That's what, just aim for that. And 1 to 3 sets, one set, you can get results. So if you're just consistent, really, if you can do one set of something twice a week, you're going to be in a far better place than not doing it at all. If you have time, add in an extra set, work up to 3. That's great. But let's get realistic. It boils down to our time. And a lot of times we just don't have the time to do things. So one set, it's okay. Then I want you to hear that. The last thing I want to say when it comes to our hips is that we do all of these things. We're doing our targeted strength, our mobility, our fascia, the therapeutic work for the range of motion of the joints, all of those things because we want to move. We need movement. And when it comes to the hips, I would say walking is a wonderful strengthening exercise to keep the hips strong, but sometimes it's not doable for everybody. So water walking, those 2 things are going to keep the hips strong and active. So get out and walk. It's good for our cardiovascular health, our mindset, in addition to our hips. And it only takes 10 minutes. We can have benefits. So give yourself a 10 to 20 to 30-minute max kind of range. We don't need to be doing it a lot. And if you do more in some days than others, it's all the things that add up. Remember, it's our whole cumulative day here that we're looking at. So in general, just to sum it up, while we're considering all these things for our hips, remember to be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, allow yourself grace as you're integrating some of these things into your life. Always listen to your body. And that's what's most important. There is no perfect. This is all about progress from where you are. A lot of times we don't think about our hips until we're starting to feel like the tightness or the stiffness or the pain as our red flag indicator. And we know that we don't have to get to the point of pain, that all the things I mentioned, if we start doing them now, it's going to help prevent that pain. Pain is just the last red flag indicator shouting out to our bodies to please pay attention. So some of you listening today may be struggling in many areas of your health and wellness, or even in making it a priority. Maybe it is hip stiffness, maybe it's back pain, or maybe it's low energy or stiffness, like I talked about. If you are ready to improve your health and enjoy living, I'd love to help you. And you can schedule your Well Body consultation today. You can get personalized insights and strategies. Click the link in this episode or reach out to support@movementcraft.com. And because you're a listener of the Better Than a Pill podcast, you will receive a 50% savings for letting us know that. So please join me in 2 weeks. Remember, we release episodes every other week on Wednesdays, and I look forward to having you join me then. Take care.